You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Black 33.
Live at the studio of Worldwide Sports Radio.
All right, let's go.
It's the Third and Long Show. And here's your hosts, Matty Caps and KT Hepburn.
And welcome everybody to a brand new show of Third and Long here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You got myself, Mr. Matty Caps, along with my co-host, producer, friend, confidant, comrade. He goes by the name of Speedy Petey. We know him as Speedy Petey. Speedy Petey is in the house as well. It is a lovely, lovely day here in Hop Hog, New York.
But did you hear Snug's nickname for me now?
I haven't spoken to Snug. Snug doesn't call the show anymore. I guess he still talks to you on other shows. Does he call other shows?
He messages Tyler a lot during his show. And I forget how the context came up, but he said something about if I had like a mob name or a Fonzie name or something like that, what would it be? And he said Bojangles. So on that show, that is not what I'm referenced by.
Mr. Bojangles. I like
Yes.
that, actually. I like that a lot. I do. I like that a lot. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of stuff to go over today, especially since yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, the Super Bowl did take place. And, man, what a good Super Bowl it was. It was an unbelievable Super Bowl. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know, Speedy, you enjoyed it as
Yes.
well. It was finally a good Super Bowl that we got to witness. So that was very, very exciting. But, Speedy, how was your Super Bowl? How was your weekend? How was everything?
It was enjoyable. I think it was my family. We always go hard. We throw a great party there. My mother makes very good chili. We had a lot of appetizer food. We had wings, pizza bagels, taquitos, which are a Mexican
Those are awesome.
chicken
Yeah,
thing.
oh yeah. Those are awesome.
Yes, those are very good. We had all kinds of chips, all kinds of dips, just pretty much everything. We had a lot of different things. We had these large potato skins, which were loaded with cheese and bacon. Those are really good too. So we had all kinds of things there. I had a lot of beer and chili, everything like that. It was a great party and an unbelievable game too.
Yeah,
Really-
no, it was finally,
really good game.
compared to last year's game, it was the best game we could have seen, if you want me to be honest with you.
It was just a really enjoyable time that I had. How was your party?
My party was good. If anyone is wondering, Damian Williams, I hate you more than anything in this world, okay? And I tell you this because when the Chiefs were up 24-20, guess who had 4-0 as their number for the final box? And I would have won $5,000. But there's always a but. Damian Williams had to be that guy and, break a tackle. San Francisco gave up. They didn't want to tackle him. And instead of going down and just running out the clock, he wanted to be a big POS and score a touchdown that really screwed me out of $5,000. So if you want me to be honest with you, I thoroughly enjoyed the game throughout the entire game. But Damian Williams, at the end of the game, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I really hate you. And I hate you some more, okay? There's not much more I could say about my good friend, Mr. Damian Williams, over there. But let's get into it, Speedy. There's a lot of talk going on social media. There's a lot of talk going on right after the game about Kyle Shanahan and the way he coached. Kyle Shanahan is an unbelievable head football coach, okay? I'm going to take nothing away from what he's done. He's been fantastic every which way for the San Francisco 49ers. He's almost like a godsend for the San Francisco 49ers, okay? But now, Speedy, I ask you this, because I have a lot to say about it. Did Kyle Shanahan coach scared in that football game? In your opinion,
No.
because I know he did, but I'm curious for your opinion.
I don't think scared is the right word to really.
Scared's 100% the right word.
I don't think that's really it because I think the Niners didn't do conventional stuff. And usually when you coach scared, you do basic stuff. You simple passes, simple runs. And they were doing a lot of receiver runs. Deebo Samuel was great in that.
But that's
first
what they
half.
do all the time anyway, so it don't matter.
Right, but that's not simple. That's a complicated notion that usually you think of a receiver reverse.
So you're going to put it on because they do reverses that they do all the time, that it was not simple because of that? That's their bread and butter play. Deebo Samuel doing a jet sweep like that and reverses like that, it's something they do every single game. That's nothing out of the ordinary for the San Francisco 49ers offense.
But the difference is it's an unconventional play call still. And you're thinking, all right, 20-10, you're thinking, all right, if you're quote unquote coaching scared, why do something that's one, a low percentage play, and two, a lot of things that go wrong on that. Think about all the bad exchanges, bad toss, the receiver comes the wrong way, the receiver gets blocked by somebody else. There's a lot of things that go wrong on a wide receiver reverse. That's why it's only used in the majority of offenses, the majority of systems as a trick play. So there's a lot of things that could go wrong, yet they were still trying to stick to it, lining him up in different spots, trying it with other players. They tried to think of it with Emmanuel Sanders once. They did stuff with Kittle, having him try to run. Kyle Juszczyk a lot of the time. So they tried different things. That's why I don't think he really coached scared. And also the other reason I say scared is the wrong word is usually when you coach scared, a lot of times you say, all right, we don't care about what the actual play call is. Let's just try to get it to our best guys. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan did that either. I don't think they were force-feeding Kittle. I don't think they were force-feeding Raheem Mostert just because he was the hot hand. Kyle Shanahan saw that Raheem Mostert was being game planned for, and he went to Tevin Coleman. He went to Jeff Wilson at times. So I don't think that's really coaching scared is the way to go with that. I think the one thing he didn't really adjust to, and this is where I will blame him for, when the Chiefs' interior rush started to get going, I would have either put Juszczyk back there to help block, or I would have put Kittle back there or something like that to help block. I think they were having, at that point, too many spread formations. That's the one thing I will blame him for not adjusting to, but I don't think scared is really the word to define his coaching.
So you don't think he coached scared?
No.
I think he coached scared. I think he was petrified of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, especially in that fourth quarter, and we'll talk about the fourth quarter and stuff. I don't know where his head was at the end of the half, where he wasn't using timeouts when he could have used timeouts.
I agree on that.
Excuse me, you saw John Lynch up in the press box going like this.
Yes.
Call a timeout, he's saying. Call a timeout.
That's
he
fair.
didn't
I'll
call a
give you that
timeout.
I'll give you that one.
Kyle Shanahan looked very scared. He looked very timid. He didn't look himself. And I'm going to say this. You want to know why I think he coached scared? Is because I'm going to say the 49ers blew it. Okay? Kyle Shanahan blew it. You're talking 2 times. Not once, but 2 times. This guy had double-digit leads going into the fourth quarter of 2 Super Bowls. The Falcons against New England, what is the offensive coordinator for Atlanta. And now you're the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers when you're up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Hold on.
I don't know.
No coincidence. Shut up with that nonsense, Speedy coincidence. There is no coincidence. You want to know what happened? He went away from the run game. You're going to sit there and tell me your bread and butter is to run the football, right?
How is that scared?
Listen. You're going to sit there and tell me is there bread and butter, Speedy, running the football?
Yes, but I'm curious on how that's scared.
I'm going to get to everything, okay? As you can see, I have my notes right in front of me about everything. So their bread and butter is the run game, correct? Yes, thank you. They went away from the run game. You went away from the run game against a defense that is ranked 26th in run defense in the NFL. You ran the ball 22 times against the 26th ranked run defense in the NFL. There is no excuse for that. They were getting whatever they wanted to running the football. And Tyrann Mathieu said it the best after the game. Thank God they stopped running the football. Thank God they stopped running the football.
But they were really only running it in phases. They weren't running it overly consistently. Like we said in the first half, Deebo Samuel had a couple of big runs. Coleman had one big run. Mostert had one big run, but for the most part, he was bottled up. I don't know why that's necessarily. Thank God we stopped running because the Chiefs were ready for it a lot of the time.
Well, you sit here and you look at it, and you're still sitting there wondering, how did he coach scared? Scared money don't make money, Speedy. You ever heard that saying before? Scared money don't make money? Have
Right.
you ever heard that saying? Listen, have you ever heard that saying?
I did.
Andy Reid was on the other sideline. What did Andy Reid do? What did he do in this game that, I don't know, he wasn't scared? He went for it on fourth and one plays. What didn't Kyle Shanahan do at the opportune times and go for it on 4th and 1? He didn't do that. He only took field goals. That is the difference between coaching scared, okay, and going out there to try and win the game. When he went for that field goal and kicked the field goal in the third quarter, you were in.
It was 4th and 3.
It was 4th and 1 or 2 that you could easily run the ball for a first down with that offensive line and with the way you guys run the ball against a 26th ranked defense in the NFL. 26th ranked. You're going to sit there and tell me not one person could get 1 or 2 yards? That's all you needed for that?
Most likely, but at the same
Scared money don't make money,
but,
Speedy.
But at the same time, if you want to use odds, the Niners defense was the best defense in the league at stopping 4th down and short and 3rd down and short.
He was scared of Patrick Mahomes, my friend. And scared is not it's an understatement.
Now here's my question. If you're quote unquote scared of Patrick Mahomes, wouldn't you
and Andy Reid.
Okay. If that logic is you're scared of Patrick Mahomes, wouldn't the logic be we should stay aggressive and try to score as many points as we can in case they score right back? Should that be the logic?
Or I'm scared of Patrick Mahomes. Let's keep the football out of his hand and just run the ball and use the clock.
Okay, now my question to that is, did the Chiefs win the game with less than a minute to go?
Speedy, the Chiefs had the game soon as he started the fourth quarter.
Okay, but my question is,
I don't care that the score was 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Soon as the fourth quarter started and the momentum started changing, okay, after Patrick Mahomes threw that interception, okay, and the momentum was in San Francisco. But after the next series, when they went away from the run game and they passed the ball, for whatever reason there is, I sit back here and think, and I was texting you yesterday throughout the game, okay? But I was sitting back there on the table watching the game, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why aren't they running the ball on first, second, pass on third? Why aren't they running on first, second, and third down? They could get whatever they want. They could keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. That was the game plan. Listen, you could mix match it any which way you want. The way Kyle Shanahan coached this game yesterday showed that he coached scared. He coached scared. He was scared of Andy Reid. He was definitely scared of Patrick Mahomes, and rightfully so. Patrick Mahomes is a bad man. He's a bad, bad man. Patrick Mahomes is not someone you want to give the ball back to because let's be real here. He only needs a minute and a half to score a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes can march down the field and score a touchdown in a minute and a half, 2 minutes, tops 2 minutes. But he can easily march down whenever he wants. And people were talking about, oh, my God, all the money's on San Francisco. I mean, their defense is this, their defense is that. And don't get me wrong, Nick Bosa, you are going to be the greatest defensive end that ever played in the game of the NFL.
wow.
He is going to be the greatest defensive end of all time.
All right.
And I'm saying that right now.
February 3rd, 2020.
In his rookie season, he is going to be the greatest defensive end. Did you see him yesterday?
Oh, he was
Nick
great.
Bosa.
Phenomenal.
Nick Bosa was all over the field. He made that the left tackle. Who was the left tackle?
Eric Fisher.
Eric Fisher, who is he was a former first number one pick, wasn't he? Wasn't he number one?
He's
But
still
listen,
not a great player, though.
he's a very good offensive lineman.
He's a
Speedy.
good offensive
He's a
lineman.
very good offensive lineman.
I still think the talent difference is drastic between the two.
Okay, fair enough, but he's still a very good offensive lineman. And he made Eric Fisher look like he never played the game of football before.
So it basically made Eric Fisher look like the first 3 years of his career.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 years maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Nick Bosa was on another level yesterday. And again, I have to tip my cap to Nick Bosa because when you're a rookie playing in the biggest game of your entire career in the Super Bowl, okay, in front of millions and millions and millions of viewers, 60,000 people at the stadium, okay, and you put on a show like that, there's no words. He's going down. He's going to be the greatest defensive end of all time when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
when it's all said and done. Look at his rookie numbers this year alone on what he did. From sacks to QB rushes to hits, TLFs, yeah. You look at all that stuff, he is going to be the greatest of all time. But now back to Kyle Shanahan, and
we got a call.
Oh, we do have a caller. I did not know we have a caller. Oh. Worldwide Sports Radio, who am I speaking with?
Matty, what a game yesterday. What a game.
Oh, Jeff from Tampa. What's up, buddy?
Buddy, I got to tell you, I'm a little in shock. I have no idea what to do. I was told Dak Prescott was going to be in this game. I don't know what happened.
You just can't not take a shot at the Dallas Cowboys and the Beef.
We have to figure out his ticket. What row and section was he sitting in? Maybe he was sitting next to the guy that was sleeping.
I mean, just wild times. I mean, I was lied to this whole time. I was under the impression that this was the first or for 3 in a row for the Cowboys.
No, you know what? Me too. I was under that impression as well.
It struck me yesterday who the real winner of the game was yesterday. Impressive performance by Mahomes. Certainly terrific, certainly deserving of all the accolades that he's getting and all the congratulations that he's getting. He was terrific when it mattered most. He wasn't terrific for most of the game, but he was terrific when it mattered most. But I'll tell you who the real winner of yesterday's game was. The New England Patriots.
Because it looked like the right move trading Jimmy Garoppolo.
Dude, everyone on the planet was telling me, "Oh, what a horrible decision Bill Belichick made. That couldn't have."
No, wait. Bill Belichick wanted to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. That was Robert Kraft and Tom Brady that got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
First of all, that hasn't been confirmed. That's just speculation.
Well, then don't go say that Bill Belichick made the right move then, because Bill Belichick didn't do that. I'm still feeling that it was Robert Kraft.
Everyone was. That's fine, but I'm telling you, everyone was like, they made the wrong choice. How many people were like, they made the wrong choice?
Oh, everybody. Not me. I never liked Jimmy G.
Right. Guess what? Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw the football.
You don't got to tell me. I've been saying this for a long time now. And we're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo in a little bit, because we're going to do a Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Mahomes. We're going to grade them in this Super Bowl. But you're 100% right. Jimmy Garoppolo showed that this game was too big for him. He was not ready for this game. And I'll be honest with you. Jimmy Garoppolo, the first half, maybe the first 3 quarters, he actually played pretty decent. I'm going to give him some credit there, because he
was accurate, but he was really.
But I was going to say he had some bad throws. He threw behind receivers on some of them, like Patrick Mahomes did, and I get that. But Jimmy G did what asked for him. But you want to know what it comes down to is Kyle Shanahan. And Jeff, let me ask you this, because Speedy disagrees with me. I don't know if you heard us talking about this. Do you think Kyle Shanahan coached scared because of who was on that sideline and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
I don't know if he coached scared. So there's a couple of things that in hindsight, like during the game, I was like, that doesn't make sense, right? Like the big thing that didn't.
Well, when you have the best running attack in football and you run the ball 22 times, it's a little fishy to me that he does that.
Right, but there were things that didn't make sense to me at the time, and then after the game, like looking at it in totality, like at the end of the first half, the Niners stopped the Chiefs, and they could have called a timeout and got the ball back with a minute 40.
Yep.
When did that play in? Like a minute 50 or something?
Yep.
35, I think it was. He could have called timeout.
Yep, 100%. That's one of the things.
So he would have had a minute and a half left, right? But here's the thing: looking back at that and looking how, and I paid him to look at how inept wasn't throwing the ball. I can see why he was like, let's.
Well, because he didn't trust Jimmy G.
Right, exactly. But that plays into it, because you don't want to get the ball back, go 3 and out and have them use timeouts, and then give the ball to Patrick Mahomes,
who could score in 45 seconds.
Right, because then you're going into the half down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, in the moment, I was like, what is this guy doing? He's an idiot. Like, call timeout and go and try to get.
But you don't think that's playing scared because of who's on the other sideline? That's 100%. Everything you just said just proved that he was scared of Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm getting at.
That's not not coaching scared.
That's 100% coaching scared because you don't call a timeout because you don't want to give the opposing quarterback the football in case you do go 3 and out because, one, you're not trusting Jimmy Garoppolo to make a play, which he obviously showed yesterday that he can't make a play when it comes down to it, okay? And you don't and you don't want to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. How isn't that coaching scared?
Because you still had enough time with a minute 35 plus whatever the time of the punt would have been to still run the ball. So you didn't necessarily have to
He
throw the
didn't
ball
call
on
a
first down.
timeout is what I'm getting at.
Correct.
But that's not coaching scared. Coaches are there to put your team in the best
Position to win, yes.
And if you go 3 and out and give the ball back, you're not putting your team in the best position.
Andy Reid played with gigantic cojones yesterday, going for 4th and 1 on certain plays and converting on those 4th and 1 certain plays. That's what takes to win a championship. That's what it takes. I'm sorry, you guys could mix and match it any which way you want. In my opinion, Kyle Shanahan yesterday coached scared. He was out of his realm. I don't know if he still had that New England Patriots Super Bowl in the back of his head when you're up 28-3 in the fourth quarter and you blow it. Okay, I don't. But listen, that could still haunt him. We don't know. He's not going to come out and say it. But that could still be haunting Kyle Shanahan.
But the structure
but
of the
at
two
what
teams
point,
are
right?
different.
Like I get what you're saying. Oh, he's coaching scared, blah blah blah. Like I understand what you're
He
saying.
coached in that third quarter and fourth quarter, especially the fourth quarter. He coached not to lose. What did we talk about Dan Quinn when it was Atlanta versus New England? Dan Quinn coached not to lose the game. He was conservative. What do you think this guy did? The same thing. You want to know a funny statistic that I heard this morning? 7 possessions in the fourth quarter of Super Bowls for Kyle Shanahan, okay? Not a single point scored in the fourth quarter under Kyle Shanahan, and you got outscored 46-0 in the fourth quarter.
I mean, here's something that I think is really being overlooked in the whole thing. And again, I get what you're saying, but let's be honest. Kyle Shanahan called plays, they got guys open, and frankly, Jimmy Garoppolo either didn't see them or missed them.
Well, that George Kittle 3rd and 5 play, which was just a bad throw, number one. Number two, that Deebo Samuel down the middle of the field that could have put the game away. He overthrew him.
There's overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, Emmanuel Sanders. Sorry, I thought it was Deebo Samuel. Sorry. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, the Emmanuel Sanders, right down the seam, and he overthrew him.
But this is what I'm saying is, like, you can say the play calling was not. The play calls were there, and guys were open, and players didn't execute.
To a point, yes, and that's why when we do the Jimmy Garoppolo grading him after our first break and stuff, my grade for him is not going to be shocking. It's not an F, I'll tell you that. But it's not very good for Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's the thing. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the main reasons that they lost. Yes, Kyle Shanahan is definitely one of the main reasons. I don't care what you say, and you could mix and match it any which way you want. I'm sorry. When you're a head football coach and you're scared of the other quarterback and the other head coach over there, and you don't want to give them the ball back, and you don't take timeouts to help your team, okay? I'm sorry. You can't coach scared in a Super Bowl. You have to leave everything out on the line. You can't coach conservative, especially in the fourth quarter when you're up by 10 points. Okay, that's number one. Now, Jeff, let me ask you this. Do you think that play at the end of the first half was offensive pass interference?
It definitely was.
100% was. Thank you.
Really?
Speedy, you
No,
don't?
I don't think so.
It never gets called, but it was 100% an offensive pass
the two
interference.
guys were just hand fighting, and the only reason Kittle got separation is because he's just faster.
Because he extended his arm.
Because he's just faster.
No, he's not faster than the guy he went up against.
He definitely is.
Absolutely
Daniel Sorensen's a box safety that's more reliant on physicality.
He's not faster than George Kittle is not faster
I'll tell
than
you
him.
the one I didn't like. The one I didn't like was the pass interference on Kelsey
In the end zone?
That dude almost didn't even reach it.
Yeah, but and you know what, Jeff? I agree. No, I don't know if it was terrible because I agreed with you. I said I don't think he touched him. But then when you went to slow motion and you saw it from a different angle, you could see that his body went into him and his arms before the football even got there, and the fact that he didn't turn around. But I was thinking the same thing you were. I'm like, oh my God, that's not even a pass interference call. It's not. But when they did the slow motion from a different angle and you saw it, he fully went into him before the football even got onto the screen to him. So it was the right call again. You may not agree with it, but again, it was the right call. Both of those calls have been right. What?
It was awful.
Listen, you don't have to like the call, but it is a pass interference call.
It was just terrible. I just thought it was terrible. I didn't like it whatsoever. Like, I just don't like giving other people points. I didn't think that was enough. Listen, you could call interference on it. It's like holding. You can call holding on any play. You could call interference on any play.
I don't think there was one holding call on the offensive line yesterday.
Yeah, there was.
There was?
There was.
Okay.
I think the Niners had one late and the Chiefs had one early.
No, but I'm just saying you could if you wanted to, right? You could call almost anything on any play.
Almost anything, yes. Agreed.
I just didn't think that was enough to say that was interference.
And you know what? Again, your value to your opinion. Now, we've seen less. We've seen those type of calls not be called, or they reverse it, or something like that. And I agree, but again, and I was all with you. I was agreeing with you the whole time until I saw the replay. I was saying to myself, I'm like, that's not pass interference. That's a bad call until I saw the replay. And that's truly how I feel. I mean, listen, I'm all about it. I'm with you. I don't like giving teams extra whatever momentum and stuff because that was a big third down play right there. Okay, but again, it is the right call. I think the refs yesterday had a fantastic game. I think they had one of the better coached games. Yeah, I think they had one of the better ref games yesterday throughout the Super Bowl. I mean, of course, listen, not one referee is perfect. You're not going to get a perfect refereed game ever in the NFL. It's just too much, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. But to have those guys there,
I was just shocked that Dak Prescott wasn't playing. Like I said, I just thought it was crazy that he wasn't there. I don't know what happened.
I didn't see any. I didn't see any stars. I didn't see nothing. I was shocked too. I'm with you. I was shocked too.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know how that happened. How did they even let the game go on without Dak Prescott playing?
It just doesn't make sense.
The other thing that kind of hit me too is, I don't know what it is, and possibly it's because we've been spoiled with Brady and Breeze and Phillip Rivers and all these great quarterbacks. Does this whole crop of new quarterbacks look completely overrated to you?
I don't know about that. I think they're kind of phasey just because they break out at different times where maybe they're less consistent, with the exception of Mahomes, because I think Mahomes has done great since he started.
Listen, Mahomes is terrific, but all these other guys that they're trying to pump you up to believe that are these next great people, like Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is very phasey. I agree with you on that.
Why are people, everyone's trying
1 year. They're hyping up the 1 year, right? Correct. I think the only guy that I think is the exception to that is Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Beyond that, I think everyone else is phasey.
Right, everyone else, I'm just why are we talking about these? Okay, right. Lamar Jackson had a great year, but for me, it's the same way. It's either Watson or Mahomes. Yeah. I don't get this whole loving on this whole new crop of guys just because they're the new guys. I actually think most of them are pretty bad.
That's the way media is. People love young players, they love quarterbacks, and they love new, flashy, creative concepts with guys. So that's what ends up happening. I think Mahomes and Watson are the only consistent ones. People just hype up MVP caliber years, too, and I think that's why Wentz is in that kind of thing. And they also love breakthroughs of new teams, too, which is why the Rams got a lot of hype. That's why, again, Lamar Jackson, even though the Ravens weren't a new team, they were never thought of as an offensive juggernaut. They were always defense and running. That was it. And that's why I think they like him, too. That's, I think, just a media narrative more than anything else.
Yeah, I just don't see stars yet in these guys.
I agree with you. There's not a lot of stars. I mean, look, I'm a big hater of Lamar Jackson, but it looks like he's becoming a star. Patrick Mahomes is already a superstar. Could we say Carson Wentz could be a star? He absolutely can be, but he needs to stay
talented,
on. He needs to stay on the field for that to happen. Okay.
But I don't care about. Talent. I really only care about like results because.
So you just care about results? You don't care about numbers?
Well, no, I mean.
Well, numbers is part of results.
Listen,
no, because you could have great numbers and still not make the playoffs and be crappy.
And it would be
your
fault all the time if you're producing.
Right. Let me just finish before you start bashing me. Right. But I don't see any results out of any of these people. All I see is like the promise of them being good at some point. And I'm just like, that's not enough to say that any of these guys are stars or are going to be stars.
Do you think Patrick Mahomes is a star?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think he is. Like I said, there's only 2 quarterbacks out of this new crop of people that I think is any good, and it's Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't think, like, you're going to kill me for this because I'm going to say it and then you're going to cry about it. I know you are because you love him. But you know what? Everyone talks about Sam Darnold. What has he done for anyone to?
He hasn't done nothing. I'm not going to cry about it. He's done nothing. He also hasn't been able to stay on the field this season. He wasn't even healthy. But he's shown that listen, Sam Darnold has shown promise that he could be really good, but he also shown that he's still an immature rookie that really needs to work on things.
I mean,
I'm not going to disagree with you. I agree.
Right, but this is exactly what I'm talking about in the fact that, like,
you don't see a superstar right away this young and all these stuff, especially in last year's quarterback with Josh Allen and Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and all that stuff. I get it. I definitely get it.
Right, that's all I'm saying. And everyone's so quick to be like, "Oh, these guys are so great," and I honestly not. I don't see like who's great.
And right now, none of them. Right now, none of them. I don't see any of them being great at the moment. But who says down the line that these guys can't? Who are we to say anything in 3 or 4 years' time that they can't when they're like 26 years old? Because keep in mind, they're very young. They're all very, very young.
I agree that people need time. Like I'm totally with you, and I can totally be in agreement.
And there's only a certain amount of quarterbacks that don't need time, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes. Name me another quarterback that came into the NFL that produced right off the bat.
Well, I would argue Peyton Manning did. He because you got to think about it this way, right? And I would also argue Tom Brady did, right? Because
Tom Brady also sat. I'm talking about being their rookie years.
What, for half a season?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes also sat a whole year.
Yes, right.
Patrick Mahomes also sat a whole year. Did you forget that?
I did forget that he sat under Alex Smith. I did.
Like, you got to remember this. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's so great," blah blah blah. This is also his 3rd year. Like, if you want to take first 3 years, Tom Brady already had 2 Super Bowls.
No, you're right. Listen, you're not taking anything away. You're right.
His first 3 years was pretty darn good.
Right.
Like, there are guys that can't come in and do that. I'm just, it's just, I just don't like, and I agree in giving guys time. Like, I get it. I'm not writing off Sam Darnold yet, but I'm just so tired of everyone being like, "Oh, these guys are already so great." No, Carson Wentz is not great. He's not.
I think he could be very good.
Great. I think
right,
a lot
but
of
he's
these
talented,
guys
but he's
very
facey.
overrated.
Well, you don't got to talk to me about Dak Prescott. I'm not disagreeing with Dak Prescott. Like, I don't.
Right, but think about the contracts these guys are getting right off rip.
Well, that's just a going rate, Jeff. Jeff, you and I have spoken about that. Cowboys are going to franchise him, by the way, very, very soon. But we've spoken about the going rate for quarterbacks and stuff, and how a lot of these quarterbacks don't deserve the money that they're getting. We've talked about that. That is something that we've always said, especially recently, where we've seen quarterbacks get all this type of money and stuff.
I mean, I just think so many of these people are so overrated that it's ridiculous. Like, there's only a couple of really good quarterbacks right now. You're watching, who knows? Is Phillip Rivers going to play next year? I don't know. Maybe he retires. I don't know. Will he find?
I think he'll either go to the Buccaneers.
Will
Tom
Brady go to Las Vegas? That'll be a good question.
I hope he does.
But Jeff, hang on.
I hope he does.
Hang on, Jeff, because we do need to go to a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we do come back from break, we're going to talk more about Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to grade Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl. We're going to get into that when we come back here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You are listening to the Third and Long Show. And here's your hosts, Matty Caps and KT Hepburn.
1-845-478-3272 is the number to reach us here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Jeff, are you still on the line, pal?
Yes, sir.
Now, Jeff, we're going to get into it right now. Obviously, we're sticking with the Super Bowl as that is the biggest storyline going right now in the world of sports. And I know there's some baseball talk going around with Mookie Betts, and now I'm hearing some other stories within Major League Baseball and whatnot. But we're not going to get into that right now, even though pitchers and catchers do report in 9 days. We're going to talk about that this week sometime. But, Jeff, looking at the game yesterday, obviously your hero and Dak Prescott wasn't there, okay?
It's unfortunate. It's sad. I tuned in thinking that he was there.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I know. Looking at yesterday's game and whatnot, I want to grade these quarterbacks. And the first quarterback I want to talk about, Speedy, I want you to get in on this too, is Jimmy Garoppolo. What grade would you give Jimmy Garoppolo in this Super Bowl? Speedy, you go first.
Ooh, what grade would I give Jimmy Garoppolo?
And I want to know why.
All right. I'm going to say a C-.
Okay.
For Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he was good at times in the first half, good with play action, good with spreading the ball around. But again, second half, when the Chiefs started to figure out what he was doing in terms of concepts, in terms of tendencies on where he throws the ball and what types of routes, he really didn't adjust accordingly. I don't think he could, when the Chiefs got pressure with Spagnuolo's blitz packages later on, I don't think Garoppolo did a good job in terms of adjusting at the line of scrimmage, in terms of reading the defense. And I think at that point, that downgrades it a lot. And the only problem in why I downgrade his first half a little bit more is he was doing it on the same routes. Slants, screens, and skinny posts are really the entire Niners passing offense, besides the big Kittle pass, which obviously got waved off. I don't think it was a penalty, but a lot of people did. Regardless.
Well, it was the right call.
Regardless, besides that play, it was really only those three concepts, and they weren't doing much else besides that. And when Garoppolo had to throw it on more tougher routes, he had to throw it to the edges a lot of the time. He wasn't as good. So that's why I think it was kind of average. He was accurate at times. He looked good at times, but like Jeff was saying earlier, he missed some receivers behind. He was throwing screen passes that were too low a lot of the time, and that as a whole shows he's just maybe not accurate. So, and I just with the second half performance, and just with especially not reading the pressure packages, I think was the biggest thing. Because when you have those RPO concepts involved, one of the biggest keys is obviously communication, but also, again, reading those kinds of defenses to know what they're trying to take away, what type of screen they're going to take away, and also if they're overload blitzing, which Spagnuolo did a lot in that second half, are you going to be able to ready to adjust to that pressure? So C-.
C- for Jimmy G from Speedy. What about you, Jeff? What do you think? What kind of grade do you give Jimmy Garoppolo?
He gets a D. Listen, the play calls were there. He missed open receivers. When he was making throws, they were poor at times. They weren't good throws a lot of the times. He got them to a lead, and that's great. But in crunch time, when everything matters the most, he came up the smallest.
Jeff, it's almost like you're in my mind. So you give him a D.
Yes.
All right. Jeff, I do have to agree with you. I have Jimmy Garoppolo getting a D as well, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to go with the positive first. There's only one positive that Jimmy G had, and that was going 13 for 14 in play action passing was the only positive that he had for the game. Jimmy G's performance early in the game and late in the game really was flat out pathetic, and it really showed that this game was way too big for Jimmy G, and the spotlight, he is not ready for that whatsoever. He was 3 for 12 in the last 11 minutes of the game with a QBR rating of 3 going up against Patrick Mahomes, who had a 99.6 QBR rating in when you're down by 10 or more or something, which is the most in NFL history. The second closest behind him is at 6. And we lost Jeff. He'll call back. Jimmy G has shown in the fourth quarter why he shouldn't be trusted. Okay? He was pressured 8 out of 13 dropbacks in the fourth quarter. He showed his accuracy was not there. Did Jimmy G have the opportunities to win the game for the San Francisco 49ers? Abso-freaking-lutely, this guy had the opportunities to win. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely, this guy had opportunities to win the game for the San Francisco 49ers. Did he do it? No, he did not do it. So Jimmy G, in my opinion, gets a D. He gets a D. Okay? Jimmy G has shown this game, and Speedy, I think I've said this to you. I've said it to all my friends, especially my 49ers friends. I don't trust Jimmy G to go out there and make a play when the time has come for him to make a play. And he didn't. He showed it in his Super Bowl. He's not ready for the big stage. He's not ready for the spotlight just yet. It's sad, but it's true. And I'm sorry, San Francisco 49ers fans, but he's not ready for it. He's shown that he's not ready for it. But, Speedy, let's get into it now. Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. I'll give a B. I'll give a B for Mahomes. I think first 3 quarters he looked pretty rusty, and like Garoppolo at times, Mahomes was throwing behind his receivers on RPOs, on slants. I think he was having trouble getting the ball to his running game. Now, again, I don't think Patrick Mahomes did bad when it came to sometimes when big arm quarterbacks get under pressure or not seeing things, they try to force things. I think Mahomes did a good job at not doing that. Now, in terms of his just throw mechanics and him reading the defenses as a whole, he had trouble too. But, again, he made up for it in the third quarter. He started to make adjustments.
Jeff, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He started to make adjustments when the Niners were changing things up. And I don't think Robert Saleh coached a bad game. I think it was mainly just
I think he's a very good defensive coordinator.
I think he is, too.
And I think eventually, maybe within the next 5-6 years, I think he's going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah, I think he should have this year, too. But regardless, I don't think he coached a bad game, and I think he gave him a lot of different looks, a lot of different rotations with the defensive linemen.
But when you're going up against one of the greatest quarterbacks of this era right now, It's tough.
And again, Mahomes did a good job adjusting to that later on. But again, for the first 3 quarters, he really did not do a good job. He was really missing a lot on play action. He was missing a lot on simple throws, too. So that's where I downgraded. But again, in the fourth quarter, he stepped up big. He made some great throws. Third and long especially, he made some great throws. And made different types of throws. Threw from different spots on the field, spread the ball around nicely, and made good intermediate throws. So he was really just a phenomenal all-around fourth quarter. It shows he was not mentally rattled after that second interception. He really stayed with it. He remained calm. He trusted his play calling. He trusted his reads. And that was really it. So,
Jeff, what do you think?
Grading Mahomes?
Grading Mahomes. Speedy gave him a B.
A B.
I give him a C.
Give him a C.
I mean, let's really face Mahomes. I think the praise is somewhat justified, but I think people are just trying to pump him up. About this thing. If it weren't for the ineptitude of Jimmy Garoppolo, Patrick Mahomes loses. He threw 2 interceptions at 2 bad spots, down 10 points,
and they were bad interceptions too. One was thrown behind him, and one he just threw right to San Francisco. The first one.
Right. The second one was just as bad. He threw it right at the San Francisco player that was barely covering Tyreek Hill. Right? And let's face facts, dude. If it weren't for a horrible blown coverage, he doesn't complete that 45, 50-yard pass to Tyreek Hill on that 3rd and 50. Right? He got lucky that when he got hit, the ball he fumbled, went out of bounds. That ball goes inbounds. That's a turnover.
It could be a turnover.
Right? He wasn't all that good. He wasn't. But it was good enough to win the game, but he wasn't good.
Mm-hmm. Listen, so you're giving him a C. I'm giving him a B. And everything you said, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, he was just average. The third quarter is when he threw those interceptions, where the first one, Tyreek Hill was nowhere near that ball. He really threw it right to San Francisco, right to, who was it? Who intercepted that pass, the first one? The linebacker.
No, the linebacker was the second one, I thought.
No, the linebacker was the one that went off Travis Kelce's hands.
No.
That was the safety.
Yeah, that was the safety that went off. That went off. That was the second one.
Yeah, that was. I'm talking about the first one.
Fred Warner.
Okay. So again, Tyreek Hill was nowhere near, and then the second one, and they were driving. They could have at least got a field goal at the time, and then he throws the ball behind Travis Kelce. You saw in the first three quarters that he didn't look comfortable. He was playing. I'm not going to say like bad, but he wasn't the Patrick Mahomes that we expected. And that's where I think people get it wrong, and maybe they get it wrong with Jimmy Garoppolo too. This guy, Patrick Mahomes, he is a different man. And Jeff, you bring up that 3rd and 15 play. This guy took an 11-step drop back against a pass rush like that. He was able to drop back 11 steps and chuck the ball 44 yards. To a wide open Tyreek Hill.
Very clearly a busting.
Well, but here's the thing: it wasn't a busting coverage. It's mostly thinking that Tyreek Hill was going to go up the seams towards up the middle, and he turned on him and he went to the sideline instead. And Mosley is not fast enough to cover Tyreek Hill. And the time that he turned, he was like, "Oh crap!" And no one was within 15 yards of Tyreek Hill when he caught that ball. Nobody was near him. I'm like, oh my God, like where is the coverage on that? But it wasn't busted coverage. Those linebackers and that cornerback was right there where they were supposed to be in that cover 3 defense, which Saleh loves to do with Richard Sherman. They did it there, and they just got toasted. That's all it was. But I look at the fact that he had time to drop back 11 steps. 11. And chucked the ball 44 yards for that play. This guy, Patrick Mahomes, is a different animal. And you're seeing it right now. This guy, honestly, and Jeff, let me ask you this, Jeff, because I didn't ask you this, and I said this, and I'm sticking by it. Before I get into Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bosa, do you think he could arguably go down as the greatest defensive end when his time comes?
I'm not playing this game.
Okay.
Know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Listen, it was just a question. I was just curious on what you thought. Because, again, Nick Bosa played absolutely phenomenal yesterday as a rookie.
Listen, he's absolutely terrific. But I'm also not going to start disrespecting all-time greats
fair.
that had great careers over a dude that did his first season.
Fair. No, listen, I understand, but with what he showed and his numbers showed in the first season is better than anybody that we've seen. That's why I was asking you.
Dude, he's been terrific. Like, there's no doubt he's been terrific. But again, this is, that's the kind of stuff that frustrates me. Like I said, even with the quarterback talk.
Uh-huh. No, I got you.
Everyone needs to stop, with the all-time great and, this guy's going to be so good. Let the dude play more than a season.
Agreed. No, but listen, I was just asking. And listen, I'm just saying this based on this season, because if he keeps this up, he's going to break every defensive end record from sacks, tackle for losses. He's going to break every single record. He got into Patrick Mahomes. He made Eric Fisher look like he never played football before yesterday and stuff. But now back to Patrick Mahomes. You and me could see that he's a different animal when it comes to stuff like this. You're talking about being in the biggest Super Bowl, in the biggest game of the year, the Super Bowl. And again, Tom Brady's in this category too, because he was down by 25 points in the fourth quarter. Okay.
Yeah, but he had an advantage. He got to play Kyle Shanahan too.
Yeah, no, I get that. But you look at what he did. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers outscored. The Chiefs outscored the 49ers 21-0 in the fourth quarter. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now with what he's doing. Patrick Mahomes did a lot of it with his feet. He broke out when the pocket collapsed. He broke out. He ran for crucial first downs. Okay? He did a lot with his feet, and this is everything, Speedy. This is everything I've said in the shows leading up to this, that if Patrick Mahomes rushes the ball, they're gonna win the game and win it pretty easily. In my opinion, Jeff, I called the score 31-17. It was 31-10. I couldn't believe it. 31-20. I couldn't believe it. But
again, you got to look at how many, this is why, I don't give Mahomes that high of a grade, just because, look at how the game played out. If Jimmy Garoppolo...
His fourth quarter grade was an A++. I could say that about Patrick Mahomes.
It was all right, but a lot of that has to do with how awful... Garoppolo had... How many chances did Garoppolo have to put that game away?
100%, and that's why I gave him a D. I think you got cut off or you lost service or whatever before when you got off the phone. And right before that happened... No, right after that happened, I was talking about how Jimmy Garoppolo had opportunities to win this game for the San Francisco 49ers. It's not like the opportunities weren't there for him. That's why I said the game, the spotlight was way too big for Jimmy Garoppolo at this moment. And it showed, Kyle Shanahan showed that he coached scared and he doesn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's truly how I feel. I truly feel...
I don't believe that it's that he doesn't trust him, right? He's there. They signed him for a reason, the whole thing. I just think, listen, here's the bottom line to the whole thing, and I'm going to believe this with every one of these teams. Seriously, winning is learned. Winning is a learned thing. Patrick Mahomes didn't win the playoff game last year. This was when you see teams that get into the playoffs, it takes them a little while to get used to it. This is Jimmy's. And let's be honest, look how successful Jimmy was.
Well, they should have won that playoff game last year. They should have won that playoff game last year.
But they shouldn't have, because name something
I
just wanted to rile you up.
That was the worst ref of the passer call I've ever seen, though, on Chris Jones that year.
You can say what you want, but there was bad calls on both ways.
Yeah, listen, we're not talking about that game, so...
Want to blame someone, blame D Ford.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Blame D Ford. 100%. He dropped that pass. There's no one else to blame.
No, he was offsides.
Oh, offsides. Yeah, sorry. The offsides. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Right. So, but winning is a learned thing. So I give Garoppolo credit for getting as far as he did in his first time around the playoffs. I think that's fairly impressive. I realize that you'll probably crap on it, but winning is learned in this league. People generally don't get to the playoffs and win their first time around.
No, you're 100% right. No, listen. It rarely happens. It's something we don't really see ever.
But again, it's also he won so comfortably that when they had to do different things, they couldn't do it when they needed to.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It showed Jimmy Garoppolo's shortcomings when it comes to stuff like that.
That was the biggest reason I picked the Chiefs, was the Chiefs proved they can win in a more complete way when they beat Tennessee. The Niners kept winning the same way in all playoffs long and really that entire second half of the season.
But it is shocking because, again, Kyle Shanahan did go away from his game plan. He went away from his mantra.
Which, again, I don't think his coach is scared.
He 100%, because why do you go away to what got you there?
But why is that?
You ran the ball 22 freaking times. You ran the ball 22 times.
If anything, that's bold. It's not scared.
That's bold? That's stupid. You're going to sit there and tell me, Speedy, if you're a head coach and you've been running the football all season at a very high rate and being successful at a very high rate, okay?
That's fine. I don't consider
you're gonna go against that.
Right, but
I'm not saying that was the reason why he's scared. I gave you plenty of other reasons before.
But I think that they ran some pass plays that were essentially just wide runs, though. They had a lot of pass plays to use check that are just essentially run plays that are pass plays. You know what I'm saying? You have to switch something up and kind of give people new looks, which Kansas City did as well. That weird shift thing they did before the direct.
I was even questioning if that thing was legal. I never saw that before.
What?
The spin.
Oh, the boy band spin.
Yeah, I thought that wasn't legal because, one, you couldn't move two guys in motion, and two, I don't think you could do it while spinning. I never saw that before.
First of all,
I thought it was illegal.
First of all, here's how much knowledge you have. Because, yes, you can't have two guys in motion at the same time. But did you notice how they all got set before they snapped the ball? So nobody was in motion.
Yeah. I was just about to say they weren't all set beforehand. That's the whole thing.
Because you can have multiple people running around at the same time.
Yeah, moving as long as they're not set. Yep, as long as they're not set.
So what would be illegal about that?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. No, Speedy didn't understand.
I just didn't think
what
you
it
could
was.
do it in a spinning motion.
Yeah.
I thought you had to be.
On sports radio doesn't know the rules.
I never knew you could do it in a spinning motion. I always thought that was illegal. I thought you could only do it. I think you could only do it in a shuffling or running motion.
Yeah, the way they spin like the boy bands, like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. That's
you can move in any way you want, as long as it's not forward.
Okay.
But you look at this game yesterday. Patrick Mahomes has shown he is very, very valuable to this Kansas City Chiefs team. I mean, you look at the numbers that he put up in that fourth quarter alone. It was really, really remarkable. And again, I there's not much I could say about Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be he's already a superstar, but I think the sky's the limit for Patrick Mahomes. I think he's only going to get better and better and better. I'm gonna put him eventually, even now, in the Tom Brady category. I'm going to put him with the Aaron Rodgers category, the Peyton Manning category.
I mean, you could put him in the Aaron Rodgers category, but why don't we wait till the dude wins more than one to get him?
I'm talking about what he can do and his talent. I'm not talking about anything else about other than talent and what he can do. Is what I'm saying. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about Super Bowl wins. I'm talking about pure well, Tom Brady's not that athletic, but pure talent of being a quarterback, and I'm putting them in together. Same thing with Peyton Manning. I'm putting him in the Peyton Manning category. Like, I think this guy's a superstar. I think he's only going to get better. And I don't see him being stopped. And now, Jeff, that brings me to my next question now. Who is the biggest threat to the Kansas City dynasty, if there were to be a dynasty? Who is the biggest threat to Kansas City? Speedy, you're answering this question as well. But Jeff,
you're gonna hate my answer. Right?
No, because you're gonna say New England. But I only think New England is.
I think New England is part of it. Okay, dude, they've been in the last five. Okay, they didn't make it this year.
They
had one of the best defenses, and there are a couple of offensive pieces.
Well, they had no weapons this year, which was a huge problem.
Right, which is a huge problem, right? But think about it. If they find a way, and salary cap's going to make it tough for sure. But if they can find a way to get a tight end, and I don't know, does Gronk come back out of retirement? I don't even want to start those rumors yet, Matty. But who knows where they're going to find guys?
He looks very skinny. He looks very skinny.
I mean, until you see him stand next to other people that just played, and he still looks huge.
Okay.
But New England's defense was so strong this year that if they were to figure it out and get a couple of pieces, how could you say New England would be dead?
No, I wasn't saying that. I'm just asking you the question: Who are the biggest threats to a Kansas City dynasty if there was one? And I'm going to say Baltimore. Baltimore is a big threat to the Kansas City dynasty. Lamar Jackson's 23 years old. Keep that in mind.
No, Baltimore would be one of them. I still think New England has some gas.
New England is definitely in the frame. I agree with you.
I think that you're going to hate this answer, right? Because I think it kind of comes out of nowhere a little. But I think Pittsburgh is still right there. They had a really impressive second half run of the season.
I'm going to say Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh also needs weapons just like you do. Juju Smith-Schuster has shown that he can't be the only guy on the offense. When he went to the number one type receiver, he was a nobody this year. His numbers were so bad. They need somebody else to help with Juju Smith-Schuster because the talent's there.
But let me ask you this, and I think this is a fair question, right? Are Juju's numbers down because Juju is no good, or were Juju's numbers down because he had Duck Devlin throwing to him?
I'm gonna I was gonna say a little of both too, because again, it's different when you're a number two type receiver getting single coverage, man coverage, and you're beating them when Antonio Brown's getting doubled. Right. Okay, now that you're the number one type receiver, it changes. Now, does having a second and third string quarterback throw you the football season? That doesn't help whatsoever. And I'm going to agree with you.
That's all I'm saying. That's why I think listen, Pittsburgh's defense was strong. I think Pittsburgh could be a team next year. Dude, and God forbid I'm doing this, I want to punch myself in the face. I really do. God help me, I hate myself. I'm still not going to count out Cleveland. There's too many. I think the head coaching thing was a mistake, right?
Well, I said that from the get-go, too. I said that
right,
from the get-go.
Well, that's fine. You said it from the get-go. Terrific. It was probably a mistake. I just can't look at that team and see all the talent that they have and not think that eventually they're going to figure it out.
It is possible. I mean, they have the talent.
A team with David Njoku and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
That's the thing. They have the talent, but they do need to figure it out because that Cleveland Browns offensive line is worse than the New York Giants have ever had. That offensive line is putrid. That's a huge problem.
No, there are definitely teams that have things to improve on. That's what the off season is for. Right?
Oh yeah.
There are teams that need to improve things for sure. But I'm kind of looking at it. Listen, if New England were to get a tight end and another receiver, oh my God, New England looks pretty good, don't they?
100%, 100%.
If somehow Pittsburgh figures out not to get Roethlisberger hurt and gets another receiver, oh God. Or even if James Washington develops a little bit, that could be really good for them.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and say Washington.
I like the Pittsburgh call. You never count out New England as long as Bill Belichick is still at the helm. I agree with that. I think Baltimore is going to be a problem for years to come.
The one that I'm not high on.
I'm not high on Cleveland, but who aren't you high on?
Well, but the one that everyone's pumping up that I'm not going to be high on is going to be Tennessee, just for the fact that they are good. They are good. Mm-hmm. But the problem I think that they're going to have is retaining a lot of their free agents. Someone's going to come for
Cost some money, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Someone's going to come for Ty Conklin. Someone's going to come for some of these guys, and they're going to be losing pieces. And I'm not sure yet how Tennessee is going to be in adjusting to losing people. Right.
Well, they have enough depth defensively. Just offensively, that's where they lack. They're really star reliant. I'm going to do this, and you guys are going to call me a homer again. But traditionally, New England is a team that replaces people halfway fairly easily. Is that safe to say?
I could agree with that.
Okay, so I don't want to rile you up too much, Matty. So you call me a homer. We haven't seen.
I haven't called you a homer in a very, very, very long time.
We haven't seen how Tennessee is going to be able to react to handling losing some of their stars.
Their GM's really good, though.
Ty Conklin probably won't be there next year. Right?
Probably not.
How are they?
Right.
What are they going to do at quarterback? Because let's be honest, you can't go through the whole season with a quarterback throwing for 100 yards a game, which Tannehill has been doing in the playoffs. That's a horrible number to have. You can't just rely on Derrick Henry. Running backs break down. So I'm not super high on Tennessee for next year, but I think that
I wasn't high on them to begin with.
Yeah, you thought they'd have a losing record.
I did.
I remember that.
And the other one that I hate myself that I'm going to believe in a little bit. Man, I really think Houston is going to try to.
Houston's going to be good. I'll be honest with you. I think they get, and it's not Ty Conklin, it's Jack Conklin, number one, and number two. I do agree with you. I like Houston because of Deshaun Watson and a couple of those weapons.
The problem with them is they don't have draft capital because they traded a lot.
Because they traded a lot of things. But again, I think Bill O'Brien does have to go. I mean,
now he's a GM too.
I know now he's part of now he's a GM. So that's just has bad news written all over it. They need to make another move or two on the offensive line, and they need to make another move or two in the secondary of that Houston defense because they need help. Besides, who's the guy the secondary?
Gary and Conley.
No, who was it? I'm trying to think. I have to think about that.
Corner or safety?
Corner.
They have Gary and Conley, Vernon Hargraves.
It was Hargraves.
Roby.
Okay.
Roby.
Okay.
Sorry. Besides Roby, who else is there that?
Yeah, they have a bunch of number twos, and I think Conley has the potential to be a number one.
Yeah, but you sit back there and think they need to fix a bunch of things. But I listen, Jeff. I everything you've just said from New England, Baltimore. I don't agree with the Cleveland. I do agree with Pittsburgh as long as Mike Tomlin is still there, and I do agree somehow with the Houston Texans because I think they're on the cusp of being very, very scary, but that's a team that needs a couple more things. And I look back at this, and what does all these teams have besides the Houston Texans? You talk about Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore. They have pretty darn good coaches, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
I mean, yes, but I just want to defend that Cleveland thing a little bit because Matty, I get what you're saying. I just look at that how do you?
You're looking at talent. You're looking at talent, 100%.
I mean, I just look at that team and I go, how? Eventually they have to figure it out, right?
You would think so. As being professional, you would think they would have to figure it out and stuff. But again, talent doesn't always win, Jeff. We've seen it. I mean, your New England Patriots team hasn't been the most talented, but they've won Super Bowls.
Well, no, I get that whole thing. I just look at that team and I'm like, that's an all-star team. That's an all-star team on offense. I think David Njoku is really underrated. I think he's a terrific tight end. And I just feel like they're going to eventually they have to figure it out, right? Eventually, Cleveland has to not be Cleveland.
You would think so. That's saying a lot because Cleveland has been Cleveland for a very, very long time, Jeff.
Dude, they are a factory of sadness. They just pump it out of that place, right? But, I just look at them and they just have so much there.
They have talent, especially weapons-wise. They have talent. That's the whole thing. They do have talent.
And then, but that would be the AFC. And, not for nothing, and I hate myself that I'm going to do this. The Packers get any help, too. They're going to be pretty dangerous for a long time as long as they have Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, to me, it looks like the past year or two, he's looked like he's not the Aaron Rodgers of old that we're used to seeing. I mean, he's still moving out of the pocket.
Old Aaron Rodgers.
he's still moving out of the pocket. I mean, to me, and this is just me looking at him, watching his games and stuff, it looks like he's a step slower than what we're used to.
I mean, he probably is.
Because he is 36 years old, right? He is 36. He's maybe got 4 more years, 2 or 3 good ones left, if that.
No, listen, I get it. That's what happens. People slow down and they get older and things like that. And I totally understand that. But I also look at it dude, get him a tiny bit of help right now. I think Aaron Jones is really good. I think Davante Adams is clearly really great. If you can get somebody other than Geronimo Allison, Alan Lazard, and who's the other bum? Oh, Marquez Valdez.
Oh, yes, Scantellini or whatever.
Just find a Danny Amendola or find a Golden Tate, one of these dudes that's a little older that can be trusted, that you can throw the ball to play the other side of Davante Adams. And I think dude, at tight end they're still playing Jimmy Graham. He's terrible, Jimmy Graham.
He was a Saints fan, and that's it.
Look how little Aaron Rodgers has, though. Too, it's scary.
Yeah.
I think if Green Bay gets a little help, they could be really good.
Absolutely. I mean, let's be real here.
The NFC is a lot.
I was just about to say that NFC West division is tough in general because of Seattle's there. Seattle had the division was sewn up if they didn't blow the home game, and LA Rams aren't going to go away. I mean, listen,
they're cash strapped though.
But they're still not going to go away. I mean, listen, NFC West is tough. There are a few teams that could take away the KC dynasty if there ever was one. And we just named 3 or 4 legit teams that could derail the Kansas City Chiefs. But
you want something that's not a team that could take it away?
Would love to hear this.
Other teams needing coaches because they're
Bieniemy,
their coordinators for that.
Who should be for the New York Giants right now.
I wish. There's also again just if Spagnuolo has another great couple of years. Maybe he's a head coach again.
I don't think Steve Spagnuolo is getting a head coach for a little while.
Probably not, but again, it's possible. And I just say that just because Andy Reid's older, too. And if he retires and all the coordinators go, too, that could stop a potential dynasty.
It can, but they still have the guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes.
That's true.
Right, but again, this is going to be another thing that happens to Kansas City that people are overlooking. You're not going to be able to see Tyreek Hill play with Mahomes much longer, or Kelsey. Or
I think
whatever.
I honestly think
Patrick Mahomes gets his $40 million, and they're going to be real cash strapped to find skilled players to play with him.
I'm pretty sure the only person that's coming up on a contract soon is Travis Kelce. I think everybody else from Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins probably taking his year off because he's a mental case. He was talking about it, but Tyreek Hill is looking like he's the only one that's going to be with Patrick Mahomes for at least another 3 years. I want to say Kelce has another year or two.
The reason I don't think they're as cash strapped as people think, though, is because the positions they need the most are the positions that are easier to find, one, later in the draft, and two, they're not as high priority free agency. It's really running back, interior defensive line, which aren't as pricey, and linebacker. Those positions aren't as pricey. They have two corners. Neither of them are number one, but they're both good number twos. They got Honey Badger, who's phenomenal, great receiving talent, obviously Kelce, and offensive line that's pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. So those positions aren't as cash-strapped issues where they're not high-pricey positions.
Jeff, before we let you go.
They have a bunch of high-priced players. Like, they just signed Frank Clark to a bunch of money. Like, you know, the more money you give quarterback, the less money you're going to have for a lot of other people. And I think we can all agree he's going to be, you know, probably the first $40 million quarterback.
100% he's going to be the first $40 million quarterback. There's not a doubt in my mind. But, Jeff, before we let you go, because we got to get going, because our show is going to be starting within the next 15 minutes.
Just go long and cut him off. Robbie Anderson radio sucks.
Andy Reid. What do you think of how he coached yesterday? Do you think he was spot on with everything he did? But do you think it was spot on with everything that he called?
No, listen, Andy Reid won a Super Bowl because Kyle Shanahan choked. That's
fair enough.
Kyle Shanahan had a 20-10 lead.
Yep,
and
choked it away 100%. They blew the game.
Someone had to win. Right, because someone had to win, Andy Reid won. And
he blew the game. I'm happy for Andy Reid as well.
He's been a good coach. I'm happy
good
that
person.
He got the Super Bowl. But before you let me go, I want to just throw something out there at you, Maddie.
Okay.
Because I think it's important, and I think people are overlooking it.
Sure.
You're celebrating a child abuser. Why are we happy for Tyreek Hill right now?
Listen, I'm not celebrating Tyreek Hill. I'm actually celebrating Andy Reid.
That's fine. Why is no one talking about someone getting a Super Bowl ring that broke a kid's arm?
Because no one's going to talk about that at this time. I'm not saying it hasn't been brought up already on social media, or I'm not going to say it's not going to be brought up within the coming days. But right now, I'm actually shocked because I actually haven't seen it anywhere. Because usually with stuff like that, especially when Kobe Bryant died, you see everyone calling him a rapist still and all this stuff and everything. There was nothing said about Tyreek Hill and how he's a child abuser yet, and we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it just like that. I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you had on the Twitter world, but I have not seen anything with that.
I haven't, but it hasn't escaped me that when at the beginning of the season, this was a big topic. We discussed this a lot.
Oh, I know. I remember.
About will he play? Will he not
yep,
play? What
I remember.
This, that, right?
I said he wasn't going to play at all.
It was a big reason I only had them, I think, at 9-7 or something at the start of the season.
Yeah.
What happened to the NFL's code of conduct? And this guy did not cooperate with police and was not forthcoming about anything, and in fact blocked people from giving information that could have been relevant to the welfare of a child. I, for one, am happy for Andy Reid, but will not celebrate a Chiefs victory because it's a child abuser that won.
Okay, fair enough. Jeff, thanks for calling, bro.
Buddy, thanks for having me. I'm very disappointed I didn't get to see any.
I know. I didn't see Dak Prescott in the Super Bowl either. Like we thought we were going to see him 3 straight times. I understand.
I don't know what happened. I tuned in, waiting to see the star on the helmet run out of the tunnel and
nothing.
Whole thing, and
the star. I thought it was a rating.
Nothing.
It's a rating, Jeff.
That's what it is. The 1 star. It is a rating. It's not a logo. It's a rating. 1 star.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's their team. They suck. They're mouth breathers. They're terrible people. New year, no beef should be the motto.
Have a good one, Jeff. Oh, man. Well, he was quite entertaining, Speedy, to say the least today. He was in rare form today, as per usual. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our show here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Third and Long. We will be back tomorrow at 4:15 p.m. Make sure you tune in then. Right after this show here, Errol Marks and Speedy Petey get down to it, as well as Down to the Wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.